Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi Maseches CHULLIN Daf Kuf Tesayin. We begin 14 lines from the top of the Amid and back to Basar B'chalav. We're assuming, based on the Mishnah and the ensuing Sugya, which presented multiple sources for the Isra Achila and Hana by Basar B'chalav. Here comes the Gemara, Masnis Delaikai Tana, but our Mishnah, that is of the position that Basar B'chalav is banned from consumption and from having any Hana, is unlike the following Tana, the Sanya. We have a Raisa, which disagrees. Rabbi Shimon ben Yudah Aimer, he quotes Mishum Rabbi Shimon, Basar B'chalav, you should know it's only Asr B'achil, you can't eat it, but it's Umutar B'hana, you can have Hana from it. You can sell it, whatever. Shnamar, Pasuk says, Ki am Kadesh Ata, right, Lashem Alakecha, and you shouldn't have the, Loisavash al Gdi B'chalevim, right, it's the Pasuk of Basar B'chalav. We have another Pasuk with a similar term, V'nemer Lahalon, V'anshei Kodesh Tionli, you should be a holy nation. You should not have forbidden material. And the pasuk they reference is treifa material, unkosher material, and that's certainly only asur for consumption, right? Malahalan, just like over there by the treifa, asur ba'achila, although you can't eat it, but umutabana you can have hana from it. Afkan here as well by Basar B'chalav, it's limited to asur ba'achila, but it's umutar b'hana. Now, what materials, what type of meats are asur if mixed with milk? We're going to have three shittas. Tanakama in the Mishnah says it applies to whether it's a behema meat or chaya meat or even bird, fowl, chicken. They're all asur min ha-Torah as long as it's from the kosher variety. Rabbi Kiva, however, disagrees. He says, it says three times. One is to exclude chaya, one is to exclude an oif, and also to exclude the unkosher, families. Ask the Gemara, but these three psukim, we've already used them up. Look at the Shmuel taught us a couple of days ago. We have what to learn from these psukim. They're not available for this. The answer is they are. Because Rabbi Kiva worked it out that you don't really need the psukim for those items, and they're available for today. Why? Because Rabbi Kiva holds Isser Chalal Isser. You can land one Isser on the other. You could double it up. In which case, if you have, let's say, chalev, right? Forbidden fats, which are inherently Isser, and you go mix them with milk, that invites another Isser on top of that pre-existing Isser, which is something Shmuel had to learn from a pasuk, which according to Rabbi Kiva doesn't need a pasuk. Why not? Because Rabbi Kiva holds Isser Chalal Isser. One Isser could be added to the other one. And therefore chalev, which was mixed with milk, or umesa, a dead animal, which is already asur as nevela, but it's now mixed with milk and invites another Isser. Like tzricha, we don't need a pasuk for these things. So that frees up one pasuk. Okay, next, shlil. Another item that Shmuel had to learn from the special pasuk, shlil, the unborn fetus. Well, you don't need a pasuk for that either. Of course it's meat. Kedima aliyah, we hold its regular goat meat. In which case we have all the psukim freed up. We have three psukim now. Rashi explains, it never even had to mention gedi. The pasuk says, Leisavashal behema, in its mother's milk. Why Leisavashal gedi? And again, three times. We have three extra psukim to teach us all these three exceptions. Prat, lachaya, to exempt echaya, and va'oiv, and also v'behemat mei. Okay, so according to Rabbi Lili, the only mix which is asur min ha-Torah is a mix of behema meat with milk. But chaya meat or oif meat is not min ha-Torah, only midrabanan. Here comes yet a third opinion. Rabbi Lili, Mishnah brought Rabbi Lili, who concluded that it doesn't apply to to oif. Ma'ika bein Rabbi Lili and Rabbi Kiva. Any difference between Rabbi Lili and Rabbi Kiva? They both discount the oif material. Ika bein chaya. Oh, the chaya will be a point of difference here. You see, Rabbi Lili only discounted the oif. He holds savar chaya d'oraisa. Chaya meat with milk is min ha-Torah. Rabbi Akiva savar chaya d'Rabbanan. Rabbi Akiva holds, unless you're a behema, everything else is only d'Rabbanan. Another way to explain the difference is oif ikabinai. What about chicken with milk? That would also be a difference. Rabbi Akiva savar chaya v'oif inon min ha-Torah. All that Rabbi Akiva holds, that min ha-Torah only behema is also, but chaya v'oif are not, but it's also midrabanan to be mixed with milk, ha midrabanan asiri. But Rabbi Yitzchak Savar, he says, guess what? Chicken and milk, it's mutal chatchila. Rabbi Yitzchak Savar, oif afilu midrabanan am li'asr. He says even midrabanan it's okay. So ultimately we have three shittas. Tanakama says, min ha-Torah, it applies to behema, chaya v'oif. Rabbi Yitzchak says, min ha-Torah applies to behema v'chaya, but oif is mutar, even midrabanan. Rabbi Akiva says, min ha-Torah only applies to behema, and a chaya v'oif only midrabanan. Tani Namihach, we find likewise in the Brayos that according to Rabbi Yitzchak, chicken and milk are mutar midrabanan l'chatchila. So first we start with a different unrelated halacha. In Rabbi Elazar's town, he was of the opinion, just like you can do the actual bris milah on Shabbos, if it's bismana, you can even prepare for it, despite it entailing a malacha, like you can light a fire, to heat up your metal, to fashion a knife for the bris milah. We pass like Rabbi Akiva that machshira mitzvah, the preparation cannot be done on account of chilul Shabbos, but he also can do everything. It's all part of the process. And therefore, in his place, in his town, they would chop wood on Shabbos, lasses b'chamet to make coals, lasses barzel to light a fire and to fashion the barzel, the metal, to make the knife for bris milah. That's one point. And the next one is pertaining to us. In the town of Shel Reisek, who permitted chicken with milk, they would eat chicken with milk. In fact, Levi, Levi visited the house of Yosef, who was the bird catcher. So they served them with the head of some sort of bird and milk. Now he didn't eat because he held like the shita that it's asa, at least in the Rabbanan, but he did not get in their way. He didn't say anything to them. Apparently they were of the opinion that it's okay. He also came to Rebbe. So when he came to Rebbe and he related to him that they were eating basar, oif, and chalav, Amrli says, why didn't you tell them something? You should have excommunicated them. Look what they're doing. Amrli says, Asrei, it so happens that this was the town of the very prominent rabbi there, Asrei Rabbi Dura Meseru. And I figured he must have instructed them in accordance with basically his opinion. I figured Dorashlo, he must have taught them at the Shabbos HaGadol Dorashlo, he must have told them that it's okay. They were simply following the Rav's instructions. Why am I going to get in the way? I figured Dorashlo Rabbi Yitzchak the Amar who says, Yatsa Oiv Shein Chelev Ein. The Torah mentions Chalev Imai, can't cook meat in its mother's milk, as opposed to a bird which has no mother's milk. So it's mutar min midrabanan. We pass on, of course, that it's also midrabanan. There's a story, this fellow speaking to the Chazon Ish, and something came up about, involving his child with an Issa D'Rabbanan, and the man says, okay, it's only D'Rabbanan, and he's a katan, it's only D'Rabbanan. So Chazon Ish says, okay, so go tonight, feed him chicken and milk. Wow, chicken and milk, I'm Jewish. He says, what do you mean? It's only Issa D'Rabbanan. You can be careful about that, be careful about all the Rabbanans. Continues the Mishnah. Kevas, Rashi explains kevas over here means, you see, the term keva is a reference to one of the stomachs. Right? A kosher animal has four stomachs, four sections, so to speak, in the stomach, four compartments. The last of which is the keva. Now, the term keva, in the context of our upcoming discussion, actually refers to the, let's look at Rashi in the bottom line. Keva, zeo cholav korosh. It's congealed milk. In the keva, there's these enzymes, these rennet enzymes, which are used in the process of, the meat production, chicken, cheese production. So they use this rennet to curdle the milk and to formulate cheese. So we have this chalav korish, this is a young nursing goat or whatever that was shechted. Right, so nursed its mother's milk, and inside the keva you find milk that it nourished from the outside, but it's korish, it's somewhat already congealed due to the presence of the enzyme, the rennet enzymes. And that can be taken out now, used as a curdling agent in the cheese making process. Is that okay? So if it's a kosher animal, it's perfectly fine. The issue is, Kevas Ovid Kecham, we're speaking about an animal that was shechted by a guy, which is basically an avela. A guy can't do shechita. We learned that at the beginning of the Masechta, right? Right? Only one who is obligated eating kosher food. A guy's shechita is just as good as an avela. So if you find this keva, and again, when we say keva, we're referring to the enzyme-laden milk. And the milk, of course, was nourished from the outside, but now it's been imported into the keva, and it's filled with enzymes. That material is also because it's inside an avela. Mishal nevela, says the Mishnah. Likewise, if it's just a plain avela, harizu asura, this material is asur. Okay, number 2. Hamamid ba'er shal keva kshir. Let's say, sometimes they would actually take the oil, the skin material of the keva, and throw it into milk to formulate cheese, because the skin is also saturated with these enzymes. Now for us, it's not allowed because it's basar b'chalav. This skin has a din of basar. So if you made your cheese by throwing in the ba'er shal keva in the milk, so it depends. If it's kshera, if the happens to be, the keva happens to come from a kosher animal, so then we're dealing with just the question of basar b'chalav. There's nothing else wrong with it, it just happens to be meat. Okay, so then we apply the general formula of nice and tam. If it's less than a 60th, it's bottle. If it's going to impart flavor, if there's enough. In yesh b'nice and tam, if the piece of meat is large enough to impart discernible flavor in the milk, then harizu asura becomes asur because it's a basar v'chalav mix. Number 3, next halacha. Kshera sheyanka min atreifa, kibas asura. Suppose we have a regular animal, kosher animal that was shechted, and you find milk inside its keva. So it depends. Kshera sheyanka min atreifa was a kosher animal that nourished from a treifa animal, so it imported milk from this forbidden source. So it's all about the source, right? Kibas asura, the milk inside the keva is asur. But if it's the other way around, it's okay. Treifa animal that was sheyanka that nourished from a kosher animal, then kibasa muteris. The material found inside the keva, the milk, is okay because it was imported from the outside. It's just sort of in a container. Mishakanas b'meya, it's just collected in its stomach. So it's imported material, which is inherently okay. So we disregard the fact that it's now found in an unkosher animal. Now the Gemara later will explain that apparently the Mishnah had a change of heart, so to speak. Because in the beginning we speak about, because here we just spoke about, it's all about the source. We disregard its current environment. If it came from a good source, it's okay, irrespective of where it is now. But in the Reish, in the beginning, we totally reckoned with the current environment. We said, well, the keva, the material inside the nevela is no good, irrespective of its kosher origin. We'll get to that later. But first, the Mishnah began with something which seemed like 2 cases. The keva is ovid kecham. Again, keva means the semi-congealed, enzyme-laden milk inside the stomach of a ovid kecham, which means the animal shechted by a guy, which is another name for nevela, right? And then it says vishal nevela, also of a nevela. Aren't they both one and the same? They're both versions of nevela. So why this repetition? Atu kevas ovid kecham. So the animal of a guy is lav nevela. Is not a nevela. Of course it is. Amar Avhuna. It's a different case. Hacha was speaking here. Belekeach gedim ovid kecham maskinan. The guy didn't shecht it. The yid shechted it. What did he shecht? He shechted a goat that he purchased alive from the guy. So what's the problem? If the Yisrael shechted it, it's not a nevela. We're concerned about where the goat milked from. We're concerned, Shema Yonak min atreifa, perhaps he nursed off a treifa animal, which renders his milk inside treifa. And that's the problem. Says the Gemara, why are we concerned that he nursed from a treifa? It's so unlikely. Most animals are healthy, right? But now we have a Mishnah, loichem beitzim, you can walk in a local restaurant, local supermarket, and buy a tray of eggs, No need for hashgacha, as long as you identify it as a chicken egg. It's broad on one side, narrow on the other. As long as it's established as a kosher type, you can buy it. We're not concerned that it came out of a dead chicken or a treifa chicken. It's not likely. It's not common. That's why we're concerned over here that he nursed from a treifa animal. Ella, you're right. Ella, we're concerned chayshina. Perhaps this goat nursed off a horse. That's the concern. Since it came from a non-kosher farm, maybe it was it nursed from a non-kosher source. Says the Gemara, but how likely is that? Why is it that we're not concerned that he is yonik from a treifa? Why are we concerned that he was yonik from a tmeya? Says the Gemara, very simple. Treifa le'shchicha, tmeya shchicha. It's unlikely that it's a treifa. It's an uncommon thing, but tmeya, you have lots of non-kosher animals, roaming around the farm. Okay, if they're commonly found, so then skip the guy. Even a goat from a Jewish farm is concerned that he nursed off a non-kosher animal. Says the Gemara, we keep them away. Anan bayas linan minaya, we keep away from them. We don't eat them, right? When we see them around, we keep them separate to ensure that there's no mingling. And therefore, like Gaz or Rabban, we're not concerned that this may have happened. But by the Goyim, they're not careful about this. They don't care about mingling kosher and non-kosher. They don't keep separate from the non-kosher. If they notice it in the farm, they don't keep it away. Gaz Rabban Geyser, perhaps it nursed off non-kosher animal. Fine. Shmuel Amar Chadak Tani. Shmuel has a different approach to the Mishnah. What was your question? It's a repetition? It's not. It's one and the same case, you're right. Chadak Tani. Kevas, shchitas, oivit, kechav nevelo. Simple as that. If you find the keva inside an animal, a kosher animal, shechted by a guy, which is an avela, so it's asur. It's one case. Okay, Lamaisa, at the end of the day, we see that Shmuel holds. We reckon with the current environment. Despite the kosher origin of this milk, since it's now in an avela, it's asur. So basically what you're saying is, we can't separate the content from its environment. That's true that according to Shmuel, it is so. But didn't Shmuel himself teach us elsewhere? This is regarding consuming cheese produced by a guy. Now, aside from the milk issue, suppose it's chalav Yisrael, no issue with the milk material. Or as we know, only kosher milk has the ability to turn into cheese. So whatever it is, we're not discussing the cheese, the milk aspect, but the cheese itself has to be produced by a yid. There's a special takana discussed in the Mishnah by the Zara. One cannot consume cheese produced by a guy, and the question is why? Amar Shmuel, why is that? Mipnei ma, why did they ban cheese produced by a non-Jew? Mipnei ma asru gvina asayde kechav. The reason is because in the cheese making process there's an issue of kashrus. How do they produce the cheese? How do they curdle it? Instead of just using the keva itself, which as we explained is the chalav akarish, is the enzyme-laden milk inside, they use the actual skin. They use the skin of an nevela, right? So it seems like the issue is only because of the skin. But otherwise, ha-keva gufa sharia. But suppose they use the keva itself, which again means the content of that keva, the milk content, the enzyme content, that's okay. Ha-keva gufa sharia. Now where'd you get it out of? An avela. Shmuel seems to say it's okay. We disconnect the content from the container. And since that milk had come from a kosher source, it's okay. It was nursed off a kosher animal, it's okay. And a minute ago, Shmuel explained that in our Mishnah, even keva, again, which means the content of that keva, which came from a good source, a kosher animal, becomes unkosher once it's found inside the nevela material. It's a direct contradiction. Do you reckon with a container, or do you disregard the container in light of the kosher source? The answer is you're right. There are two versions to this halach. Lekasha. Kan koidim chazara, kan la'acha chazara. One was the original version, then the Gemara changed its mind. After that change of position, it was determined to be okay. It's just about the source, not about the container. Rashi explains, gives us the background to this whole story. He says there was a Mishnah by the Zara, Rabbi Shmuel asked Rabbi Yeshua, what's wrong with the gvina, the cheese made by the goyim? So initially he says, because they use the content of the cave of an avela, that's a problem. So he says, no, well, by the oil it's okay. So basically, he changed his mind. He says, you're right. It doesn't identify with its container. It's called pirsha ba'alma. It's just, it's like separate from the actual, the milk came from a good source, and the enzymes, it's just inedible. It's not really considered, it's waste. It's not really considered part of the nevela. So the keva itself would be okay. The issue is because they use the oir, the skin. That's the issue. So after he changed his mind, la'acha chazara, it became permitted. Whereas the first part of our Mishnah, which indicated that keva inside an avela is a problem, that's before chazara. That's the original position of the Mishnah. Anything in an avela assumes the avela status. And Rashi adds that the Mishnah is loizazim imkaima. Once the facts were absorbed and internalized by the Talmudim, it was difficult to go and eradicate and delete it, so it just stayed in its place. They left it as is, but in reality there was a change of mind and there was a change of position, the final conclusion being that it's all about the source. So if we know that it drew from a kosher source, even though it's now in an avela, it's okay, as long as they're not using the actual skin itself of the animal. Continues the Gemara. Okay, the final halacha of the Mishnah is that a kosher animal that nursed off a treifa, so the milk inside is coming from a treifa. It's treif, but the other way around is okay. So the very ending of our Mishnah seems to indicate that it's all about the source. We disregard the local environment, which is direct contradiction to the first part of the Mishnah, which told us that the cave of an avela is asur. And once again, we have to say, well, this is the old version, this is the new version. But in the Reisha we learn, Kevas, Oivet, Kechav, Mishal Nevela, the material inside the Nevela is Rizu Asura. Amar Rav Chizda, so first Rav Chizda says like this. When a Torah it's really mutter, but it's been the Rabbana, because you might eat the Nevela. Reisha, Nira Koichel Nevelas. And the Reisha, the reason why we ban the Keva of the Nevela is because it looks so too close to eating, it looks like you're eating Nevela. The observer will get confused. It's going to throw people off. Look, he's eating the keva. I'll eat the nevela too. But here we're talking about the milk inside a treifa animal that was shechted. So it's not so apparent. Doesn't look so questionable. It was shechted. I mean, not everybody realizes that it's a treifa. So it's not going to come to trip people off and mislead people into eating, non-kosher animals. Amalei Rava says Rava v'laf kol dechenu. If anything, it's the other way around. All the more reason to make it asur. Uman of ela de meisa. Look, even by a dead animal, which is just naturally repulsive to us. These sharius like kevasa. Even if you allow the consumption of the content of the keva, very unlikely they'll come to eat the actual meat itself. He's not going to come to eat the nevela. Still, despite the diminished concern, amris lo, you say, keep away. Certainly by a treifa shchuta, an animal which had shchita and then discovered to be a treifa, which is more likely to be consumed mistakenly. These sharius, if you're going to allow the content of the keva, it can come that a person will eat the actual treifa, not realizing that, like koshkin, of course you should ban it. Elo Amar Rav Yitzchak, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Let me answer this apparent contradiction between the first part of the Mishnah that teaches that the content of a nevela is asur, versus the last part of the Mishnah, which seems to say it's all about where it came from, and we disregard the current environment. Like Hasha, Kan Kaidim Chazara. The initial position of the Mishnah is the old position, Kan Lacha Chazara. But the last halacha in the Mishnah reflects the most recent position, which is Lacha Chazara, after that change. And the first part of the Mishnah remained in place, although we changed our mind. One could take keva, and again keva means the milky, enzyme content of the keva, and use it to produce cheese, ma'amidim bekevas nevela. So even if it came from nevela, because it's all about where it came from, the source is kosher milk. But you cannot use keva from an animal shechted by a goy. Why? It's worse than a nevela? Amar lafanov, Rabbi Shimon bar Abba, come on. Who are we going like? Rabbi Eliezer? Going like Rabbi Eliezer? The Amar tells us, Stam machsheves oivid kicham. When a guy shechts an animal, the presumption is that his mind is lavoid kicham in order to serve an idol, in which case it becomes takroivis avodah zarah. It's material used to serve an idol. And Rashi brings the whole Gemara in avodah zarah that if it's served to an idol, anything within it is considered part of that service, part of that offering, part of that takroivis, because he wants to see he wants to present a bigger, plumpier animal. So whatever is inside is contributing to the enhancement of this offering, and it's included in the Isur Hana. It's all labeled as takroivis avodah zarah. Even the milky material that this animal may have nursed from the outside, from a kosher source, but currently it's inside, it's increasing the size and prestige and presentation of this animal. It becomes asur b'hana. That's why you can't take anything from there for personal use. Is that so? You're going with that opinion? Amalei, he says, okay, of course, Velikaman, who else are we going? Of course, it only works with that opinion. However, Shmuel bar Yitzchak, he quoted a different version of Amar B'Yechanan, who disagreed. Ma'amidim bein bekevas nevela, bein bekevas shchitas gechavim. You can use the keva from an nevela or from a shchita of a goy. And we're not concerned that it was related to avodah zarah, which would ban it from hana shaloi lochosh, without concern of the shita of the divrei Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, and the final halacha is ein ma'amidim ba'er kevas nevela. We can't use the skin of the keva of the nevela, but you can use the content. The milky enzyme content you can use, because it was imported from outside, from a kosher source. And even the keva of shchitas of kicham, we're not concerned about it being considered takroiv. Zon Rashi apparently deletes the next line and a half, because it doesn't match up with the Mishnah. Okay, so bottom line is cheese making. Today they use all kinds of artificial, enzymes. But in the olden days they would use the rennet content of the keva. So the final halacha is that it's all about, where it came from. If the milk inside the keva is from a kosher source, then you're okay. So by the Goysha farm, we're concerned that it's not, but if it's a regular, animal raised in a Jewish farm, separate from the non-kosher, so the milk inside is from a kosher source, sure, go use it for milk, for making of cheese. And even the cave of a nevela or shechit of a goy, it doesn't assume the nevela status of its surrounding environment. It's pur sheba'alma, it's separate, it's independent. As long as it's coming from a kosher source, it's okay. However, the skin itself is certainly considered basar, and you can't mix it. You can't use the actual basar to make your challah. Rashi goes into a whole long discussion. You'll see the long Rashi here says it's asur gomer basar b'chalav. And likewise, he says, let's say they salted it together with the milk content. So let's say you shechted the animal, and the mashkiach came with dumped a big truckload of salt onto the meat over there to melicha, and then the cheesemaker comes running. Oh, you forgot to give me the cave. Oh, please. So they cut it open, they take out the cave, and they give him the rest. That, says Rashi, is asur as well, because malicha, this intense type of malicha, is like cooking, right? Maliach hariu k'reseach. So there was a cooking done between the basar and the chalav there, right? Because the oyer, the skin of the cave is basar, and the content of the cave is chalav. Basar chalav, of course, is asur. Then we touched on another point, that one is meant to use only Givinas Yisrael, right? So aside from the basar, from the Chalav Yisrael aspect, even those that are not makpid or whatever, relying on Moshe's heter, but there's a special halacha that cheese must be produced by Yid only. Givinas Akam is asur. For concern that within the cheese making process, they employed non-kosher means. So it needs to be a special halacha. The cheese has to be produced by Yisrael. In fact, others go even further. I think the Shach and the Shulchan Aruch writes that it has to be actually physically made by Yisrael. That's all included in the Gzera. It's not enough that he should supervise, go in and out. I believe the Hashgacha is like, COR, MK, all the, Hashgachas, they're makbid that the Yisrael shall actually physically put in the rennet, and start the cheese making process physically, so that conforms to the halachas of Gvinas Yisrael. Okay, all the best to you, and Hatzlacha.